Hello and welcome to the Bridge of Love. My name is Erin Cameron, and today I have Matilda Lerche here. I met Matilda about a year and a half ago and have been following her work since then. But then I think I started the podcast about a year ago and just kind of still was wrapping my brain around what I do. And recently attended one of Matilda's talks, and it just everything clicked. And I feel like there's a lot of alignment between what we do. And I just thought I have to have her on. So welcome, Matilda. So happy to have you today.
Thank you, Erin. I'm so thrilled to be here. Yes, it was a magical moment, and I also feel this mutual connection. So I'm super excited to get into this conversation that we talked a lot already
I know
before
we,
camera.
we kept saying like, let's hit record because we've already recorded like said about half of an episode before we hit record. So we'll try
Yeah.
to repeat some of that. That was yeah. I think there's so much synchronicity going on between us, and just the fact that I was able to make your call and be in a place with my understanding of my own work enough, because this stuff to me, it's kind of new. I've only been doing this for a couple of years. You've been working in the energetic space for what, 10 years. So Matilda has the Divine Child Healers Academy, right? And you created that, as far as I understand, to tune into the child's energy in sort of even a family dynamic and help them really balance things out energetically so that they can more fully express in this world that we've sort of given so many rules for them to follow. And I don't know, just my perception of it is, these kids that are coming in now, and some have been here for a while, like Haddon, right? 17 years old. They are set up a little differently maybe than previous generations. And yeah, so we'll get more into the details of what you do, but maybe you can start with your own background and how you landed in this sort of work. I know we both come from science, which is kind of fun, and that's part of why I'm like, okay, I need to understand what you do. And so yeah, tell me about what led you here.
Thank you, Erin. Yeah, I loved what you said, the thing about we want them to fit in, and the children. I have so much to say to that already, but yes, let's just rewind a little to my background. So I was a highly sensitive child. I was really attuned with nature, being brought up in a quite spiritual family, but still I wanted to be different, right, to my mom. So I immersed myself in the very like logical world, the very structured world, tried all the belief systems on because it was fun to fit in at that time. And my body really contracted, but I continued the path and started my science career. I have a PhD in biology. And actually, at that time, up through my 20s, my body was completely contracting. I had so many health issues, but I was like, oh, my body's in the way. I just want to be normal. I just want to party with the other young people and study and sit by my computer and work all day. Like, why can't I work 10 hours a day in front of the computer without massive back pain? I really didn't understand at that point. So, but I had several like wake up calls leading to a car accident while we were in field work in Sierra Leone in West Africa in 2014. In the beginning of 2014, I think I was just 30 at that time, and half a year of like downward spiral with my health, and now wanting to give up that work, but then suddenly something happened within me. My body started to release the pain, and at that time I was like, I could not sit on a chair, I could not sleep at night, I had so much pain, I couldn't hardly leave my apartment, be with other people, and my body started moving. It started releasing the like the overload of energy that was in my muscle that was so painful. it just started to move, and it has a name. It's called Kriya movements in in India, and other call it myofascial unwinding. It's a phenomenon, you can say,
Mm.
where the body start releasing tension. And it just went through my whole body, all the way through all my childhood traumas, everything also cleared out my mind. So it was actually just in a few days, I felt this huge difference who I was before
That's
and who I was
post
then.
accident, right?
That
Like
was
that's
after the
happened.
accident. Yeah, half a year after the accident. So, and it was almost like I was waking up as like a spiritual practiced person, or whatever you will say, a Buddhist, a monk, or someone who had been practicing spirituality, yoga for a really long time. So within 2 weeks, I was able to do all these movements, but it was not me, the old me, who did it. It was just my body doing it. I was just observing. So the reason I'm also sharing this, Erin, is because it shows something about when the soul comes in and decides it's time, it can actually switch on some things within the body that is already there. Because it was nothing from my logical mind saying, this is the Kriya movement, or this is how you do a headstand and things like that. It was literally my body doing it with the new energy that had come in. And I was in awe, and sometimes also a bit like, oh my God, what is going on here? But
I
it
found
felt
that really
really
fascinating. In your last talk, you said, I just understood these yogic positions, that it's not like you had had years and years of yoga training.
I was always really bad at yoga. I was really bad. I wish I was good at it. I was bad at it. And then suddenly my body just did it. And I mean, knew how to get in advance, like headstand position, the Scorpio, things like that. That was happening over months, but it was like my body was integrating this higher energy that made it remember, that made
Mhm.
it able to access this information that also comes from somewhere, right? The
So
original,
beautiful.
those who invented yoga, they also got it from somewhere, channel it down, or however they opened to that energy within them. So I think that was how it started.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, one of my first sort of awakening experiences, I was in Shavasana, and it was after one of the most intense and beautiful yoga classes I can remember. I mean, this was a very real, tiny little studio in Tucson, Arizona, and um, just in pure like bliss after. And I came out of my body during Shavasana, and my
No,
body
I
like
didn't know
slid to
that.
the
Wow.
floor. And yeah, my twin sister was there, Emily, and so I became my consciousness, and I'm like above my body, and I just left it, and it was like all my human concerns are in my physical body, and I was like, "Ooh, this is nice. I'm free." Like, but it says so much about yoga and how it's such a natural pattern of movement that, yeah, you were remembering. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like it has access to the wisdom, right? Whether we do it the one way, we start by the pose and can access from there, or the pose starts with us, or however you say, because it's also the remembrance, as you say. You remember when you were there, you remembered, then you needed to bring it back to the body, right? Because that was where the worries were, the tension, and whatever it was. But now you remembered.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really beautiful visual. Wow, that's awesome. So then you found yourself what? Kind of in between? Like you're in science, and did your body just force you out of that lifestyle to the point where you're like, and then how did you sort of discover the connection with the kids and how that um came about for you?
Yeah, it's actually really fun. It was clear that it was my contract to finish up my PhD there. So I was there for more than 2 years, and I was bringing in my soulful self in every moment. It was like, because I had switched this thing on within me, I could not lie. I could not try to fit in, and I could not try to live up to expectations. So it was really funny to be
Yeah.
in this place where there is so much living up to expectation. I would just boldly say whatever was true. And I just found this really beautiful experience, which a whole long of the stories, like people really respected my boundaries because it was so clear in the energy. It was not something I could like hide or anything. So I finished up and it was beautiful. I did not say that I had simultaneously started a healing program somewhere else, but they saw me every day doing my yoga poses and in my office and things like that because I could not hide it. I could not keep it away. And they were incredibly supportive, although they lived different lives, very stressful themselves, but it was really, really good.
You're in your office moving all your energy. You probably had
So
to do it more because you were in the lab. You're
yeah,
like, I
even when
do
I
this
wrote
for
up
all
my
my kids.
yeah, it was so funny. Was that even when I wrote up the thesis, I just knew that I had already written this in another dimension. So I was like, I just need to remember this. So I practically channeled it, even though I was not. I mean, I gathered
I'm so
the
jealous.
data,
I wish I would have channeled my thesis.
and I can tell you from before the awakening, I was the most stressed out PhD student ever. I was just in distress practically all the
Yeah,
time.
that
So it
says
was
so much about the different dimensions and how you are able to navigate what before was like super stressful.
yeah.
And now you're like, yeah, PhD, no big deal.
Yes. Yeah, so I can definitely relate. And I believe that's also one of the reasons I'm here with this is because I know the way from one potential to another. It's part of my soul's mission and my soul's expertise, know the way from tension to peace. So what happened after I entered this new stage, I just follow the steps, right? One by one that came up. And when I started working with the healing, I got a lot of training in clairsentience to feel another one's energy. And already in the beginning, I heard from my teacher and from others, like I had a special connection with children because my energy system was very similar to those that were coming in at that time. So that is almost 10 years ago. And I will say some of them are also coming in now, and all of them mostly are still children or teens or young adults. And they are looking for those keys, some of them, to move through their experience, to bring their energy into their body, because they don't want to take as long as I did until my 30s to bring those,
Oh
this
yeah, they
whole
didn't come here to take that long. Yeah.
yeah, no. So they're like, give it to me now, or
Yeah. No, it's so many different things, right? Like everything that the I see that younger generation just being like, why would you make it that hard? Like, let's do the easy way. And it's like frustrating between the generations, right? There's just so
yeah,
many, it could be anything. But yeah, they didn't come here to wait till they're 30 and have some tragic thing.
exactly. They don't need that many wake up calls either. And I think for some of them or many of them, they really have that strong soul connection, but where they need the assistance often is within the body. Because they come into, I would almost say, used bodies. The bodies already have the experience from the ancestors. It already has a memory when they incarnate into it. And some of it does not fit their higher energy. So they come in and they're like, oh, can you help me release this? That's from my grandfather or whatever. So I can truly express this energy that is my own and I want to express.
And this
So
has
I
been
see, yeah,
go ahead.
I see that is where we can help them.
Yeah, that's been an interesting understanding curve for me with ancestral stuff. It's not something I have a lot of exposure to, but as I sit in this world of work, it comes up. And what just came in for me that sort of makes it make sense is, we're all coming down to earth into these bodies, but this earth has held the energy of our ancestors. It's all here now, right? So that just landed for me like, oh, okay. So the body sort of is born into this energetic environment where it holds what's already here. And it's like we're all processing through the same energy. I mean, that's ascension, right? So as we do that, we ascend in vibration because we're no longer holding those old patterns or beliefs. Is that, am I getting that? The
Yes, yeah,
ancestral
that.
stuff.
And
Anytime anyone
also,
says that, I'm like, what does that mean? But
yeah, because you're always also from science, so you know also all these things. It's like it's the same. You can say it's the same elementals, is that the words, that is building our bodies, that is building the earth. And also it's epigenetics, so that is already acknowledged within science, that there are behaviors that we inherit from our ancestors. If they have been going through lack, their offspring will show the same behavior as if there's lack. And those are the things that we can help energetically shift. So I'm sure there's not yet proof of that in science, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it's not proven yet. But
Yeah,
that's
there's
how I
so much
see.
in the energetic world that it's like I've well, I stopped waiting on science a long time ago because Haddon didn't follow. I was like, oh, by the time you guys figure this out, I'm gonna go have fun with my kid. If you let me know,
Exactly.
just let me know if you figure her out. But in the meantime, I just was very called to like let go of that expectation. But in I've learned that, yeah, science will catch up eventually, but no need for us to wait for that. We have our own inner knowing of a lot of these concepts. And also when you tune into higher wisdom, it's all there. Like,
Exactly.
I don't have all the answers, but I get a lot from just tuning into that.
Yeah, but some have, right? Some have the answers there. But, and yeah, and some of them might be scientists that are exploring now that do have like a multi-dimensional connections, and then they're bringing it into the physical plane. But yeah, I feel exactly the same way as you. Leaving science, to me, it's real, and it's not real in the way that I believe it's real. It's real in the way I can see it. I can feel
Mhm.
it. So how I did science or how I did anything is observation through my eyes or listening through my ears. I'm observing something or using something to bring in like physical evidence that I can measure. And for me, it's the same now. It's just I am the instrument. I feel it. And it's just a different sense than with my eyes or my ears. It's the feeling sense.
Yeah, and that's huge for me. It's like I turned on a completely new sense that was always
Yes.
there. And
Yeah.
it's one that Haddon was like, hello, you're gonna need to turn this on now. If
It
you want to
actually
understand
exists.
me, yeah, if you want to understand me and stop being so, stressed out
Yeah,
all the time
really.
about me in this life. Yeah, I really see you. It's so perfect. I mean, you are a bridge between those kids and this earth, right? Like, and they are too. They're their own bridge. They're bringing in that energy, but it's like you're assisting, you know, um, in that process. And I just think it's beautiful. I think that's what we're all here for on some level, is to bridge this gap that's been created so that it no longer is, right? So that we're not living in separation of our true nature. I mean, I see that in Haddon and felt it from day one. Like, okay, why are all the doctors so worried about her? Yet the nurses are like, I just want to be by her bedside. It's like your kid is so magical. I just love just standing over her bin. Like, this is in the NICU. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's really awesome. I can see how you really are that bridge for them, and sort of clarifying their own bridge to the divine, right? And just bringing
Mhm.
more of that through.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I feel, yeah, as you say, we are all bridges and we just have different ways we are bridges. And for different people, we are bridges. And yeah, I definitely see that they're bringing so much love, and what they need is physical assistance, whether it's through their parents in the beginning and also by the understanding and the love that is here for them. The parents open through love. As you say, she was pushing a button like, could we communicate some other way? Could we do something else? Can you open to this beautiful energy that you have? I hear from many of them that the communication is so much more pure in that energy. So it's meant for all of us to shift into that more pure communication.
Like you
So,
said, you couldn't lie. I
yeah.
got that very early on about Haddon, and people would say, she's not manipulative like a normal, 14-year-old or whatever. Like she just they even people would experience her that way. And I'm like, yeah, it's really beautiful. They have no choice. So when, they're coming here with all of this amazing energy, but then they sort of I have this picture of they land in, this energy field of like the home environment or the family dynamic. And I feel like that's a lot of where your work um, centers, because I feel like they're so sensitive that and I got this from your talk that like they're around very specific people. And I get this from Haddon too, and in Channel, that we chose these very specific people to come in with. And that can be said and it has been said in so many different ways, like, my kid picked me, or, um, but we all chose to sort of be together here. And that part to me is kind of fascinating. I guess my question is, when you're um like, what our responsibility is as parents in to that energy field, like how much, what I sense is they actually feel all of our thoughts and our beliefs almost as if they are in the, those ancestral beliefs in their body, but they're also experiencing a field of energy that comes from us, right? Like I picture like this shared field, because that's the same thing with nonverbal communication. That's the place where we're connected. So I'm wondering if you can expand on your understanding of that a little more so I can.
Yeah, and it's so exciting, Erin. It's one of my favorite like energies to explore. And I can say it's so individual. Some of them feel everything. Some of them hear, read everything, but it's not all of them. And therefore it's so exciting to like, for me, assist each specific child, because like, what is this child like? It's almost like we cannot completely generalize. I can do a little, like lining up some types that I see, but it's like, it's so interesting. And also, I love seeing how each specific wiring is suited for that specific family. So I can give you some example. I just want to share a bit about the parents. You talked about the parents' responsibility. How much are they bringing? I will say a lot of the children who are sensitive are like sending out a signal like, please get your energy into alignment. Some parents are already well on the way and balanced, but it's often an invitation when they show like the signs of distress and things like that, being sensitive, like, can you do something to be more peaceful within, like get that centering, all those things. And there's never any
To
judgment.
do that for sure.
But there's never any judgment, but it can be a phone ringing for a really long time, right, for the child, and trying to think what's wrong with the child, or not wrong, but how can I help the child, but not thinking, oh, it's actually my energy that's quite wobbly and unstable. And you might get more and more worried about your child, and your child might react more and more because it's like feels more and more uncomfortable to be in that energy field. That being said, that is only some of the children that will be that way. What I see, if I can outline two, there's some children that come in with a lot of sensitivity. And I see two ways that sensitivity can be, if I'm just generalizing very broadly, or on a very, like, what's it called, core scale. One where they can feel nuances in the energy, and they can read and they can understand it. Oh, mom is happy. Oh, mom is not quite satisfied with me. Oh, how should I do and behave to like make it better? And then those children where it's like just noise they get in. They're sensitive in a way, so it's just like chaotic to have that in. And for those children, it's important to understand that it is chaotic, and therefore they might be reacting very intensely, or like intensively, like have a lot
Yeah,
of strong reaction.
they're mirroring what they're feeling.
Yeah, because that is like, and they actually need to be shielded more. They need to have less of that energy. And you can understand that with the child who can actually understand and read the emotions, it's something else they need. And
Hmm.
then when you look at those types of sensitivity, I will say some can be born with it. That's simply how they are. That's more, you can say these two, yes. And some they have it because of long time, like pressure from the outside. Something is happening in their environment. It can be stress in the family. And then after a while, they start developing this stronger sensitivity because that's simply
Yeah.
so I
And
will
I,
say those are like, if you just look at the sensitivity, I don't know, do you have any questions for that? For me, it's super fascinating. I think it's also my scientific wiring that just makes me so excited about like studying the energy systems.
it makes sense to me that there would be a level where that almost like a switch that would get flipped different at different levels for different kids, where it's like, okay, too much. I'm not even going to try to interpret it. It's just too much. Give me my headphones, get me into my room, or whatever that is. Um, that makes sense. It's like their chosen path of like how much they want to deal with and how much do they want to understand. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, they're yeah, they're coming in to just they're just natural mirrors. I think that's one of the biggest things I learned from Haddon. Um, and almost every time I would ask about something that I thought I wanted to help her with, that she needed help with, or uh, I wanted to fix, and she always, 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 always pointed it back to me, and it was like,
Me.
it was like, okay, mom, and that is that soul
Yeah,
level perspective
exactly.
that you love me, I know you do, but it's I think in a lot of different things, the soul level perspective is flipped from what we really think we understand in lower dimensions. And it's like once you flip it, it's usually back to you and really everything is, right? But I would be in channel and she'd be like telling me how, where my energy was and what it's like,
Mm, exactly.
really?
Exactly.
It's be about you.
Yeah.
It's like she was bringing an awareness through
Mm,
in my, channeling her that I didn't have because my focus was outside of myself on this kid I wanted to help.
yeah.
And it still is some days.
Yeah.
I still will ask her, why aren't you sleeping? And she's like instantly like, what? You're not sleeping, you know? um,
Oh,
where's
oh,
your
dear.
energy? Maybe, and
Yeah, where is you? Okay. Yes. Oh, I love it. I
but
love
so
it.
in that, there's a few things I wanted to touch on for sure that, the concept of healing has changed entirely for me throughout this last couple of years in communicating with Haddon. And that,
Can I share one more thing about this different types of sensitivity or because I
go
find
for it.
this
Yeah.
one really important for right now. There are also these children coming in that we are very used to, that it's normal to be able to see things from a different perspective. It's like, how would it feel, like you just said, how would it feel for Haddon? How does it feel for this person? There are some children coming who's not able to do that. They cannot put themselves in other people's shoes. So sometimes they're seen as they're not cooperating, they're not loving or caring. And it's not true. It just means that they're unable to like take the perspective. It's like we're so used to that is something you can just do. So you're supposed to be doing that. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, how does this person feel? And when you do something to another, you're feeling it also from their perspective, or an empath.
The
Definitely not.
empathic or compassionate,
Yeah.
nature that we all want to have or we want our kids to have.
Yes. And then there might be one child in the group of siblings that's simply not able to do it. And it doesn't mean they don't love the other children. It means that they are unable to shift that perspective over to the others or feel it. And it's actually on purpose. And when you start to look into the specific family, you will see how that's serving them. There's something about this specific way of being that's serving them. And I find that extremely interesting. And I also wanted to say that because I feel it's important, because that's how we can misunderstand care. Like this child is not caring, but
Uh-huh.
they are. They just have a different way of loving.
It
and want to
doesn't
be
mean that
yeah,
doesn't exist for them. Yeah.
exactly.
It doesn't mean they didn't come in with a pure, love of source or God. Like,
Mm,
they have it in them. They're
yes,
expressing it differently or
exactly.
not able to express it. What I'm getting is for the other people in that dynamic, what it does for them is if they're looking outside of themselves for love or acceptance or compassion or any of those things, that child is sending them back to them. Like, why don't you just get that from yourself and accept me as I am? And it's just that constant, like, back to you, mom, back to you, dad. Like,
Yeah,
and that maybe that's what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other,
yeah.
levels of
Totally.
that purpose of that.
Yeah, I feel it's so true. And also, they're training others to speak up. What do you need from me? Because I cannot read your mind. And if you're in a family where everyone using this like feeling into each other, like to get that sense of what should I be doing to not
Yeah,
upset
like,
others, and
mommy
there's this
understands
shift.
me so much better. Yeah.
It's like you need to communicate it or you need to clarify it with me so I can actually show it to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
so fun.
And all of this, what another light, maybe before we jump into the healing thing, the other big light bulb for me, um, that has been really landing more and more lately, just that question of what if there really is never anything wrong? And I think as you get into these higher levels of consciousness, just naturally expand into them, it's really becomes not so resonant with you to look at anything or anyone as something that needs to change or that something is wrong. And when I really just super deeply feel into that, is that the most freeing feeling? That what the wrong is just something we created. Like, we've created all these rules for being human so that we can feel like we're safe, feel like, you know, um, we're doing it right. And I love what I think they're showing is that there's no wrong way to be human and to be here and express. I wonder if you can get into what your understanding of. I feel like that's kind of the overall perspective that they're guiding us into is like, nope, nothing wrong with me. You can label me all you want. You can give me a label. You can, but then you're missing in that everything else that I'm bringing.
Yeah,
Really bringing.
missing.
I feel like what you're tuning into is all of the stuff that they're really bringing through and helping them to bring it through, even though this energetic environment might be a little dense for them and hard for them to bring through all of their power and all of their soul energy. Anyway, if you
Yeah,
can expand on what you.
definitely, and I feel that just as you're sharing it there, it is they are you miss out on the gift that they bring because you don't see the nuances.
That
You're
just
too
gives me
much in
chills.
resistance to just I don't want this, I don't want. And I think what I shared at the webinar was also the thing about when people say if your child is successful, it means you've done it right. I'm like, no, that's not. I mean, that great. Congratulations. I
Right.
really
Wonderful.
celebrate if they are, and it must feel good to you and celebrate them. But I definitely don't see that you done it wrong. If your child is, I have children who are young adults, drug addict, parents with children that are drug addict, all those things. And when we look at it from soul level, there's still an explanation, and there is still a way through it. But it's never through judgment. It's never through judging the child. It's always through the parent coming in, seeing the greater picture, and see the child in their mastery and seeing
Mhm.
themselves. And often it's actually a really intense way, I will say, because so full respect to those parents who experience this, is a very intense way to be practicing holding your own vibration. And that is what we often asked in those situations. Also, I had my own nephew go through a cancer treatment when he was 5 years old, and it was definitely training us into holding the higher perspective and holding the frequency while he was in that experience. And uh, and that is mastery. That is us being trained into our mastery.
Yeah, it really is. So many of Haddon's early messages were like, you can't take fear with you, you can't take worry with you to this higher dimension where I am. And um, what she would say is like, in these higher dimensions, I'm healed. And I'm like, huh, cool. I want to get there. Get me there. And I want to see Haddon, running half marathons or whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And then it's like, but are you in resistance to where she is now? And it's like, oh damn.
lots of
Yeah.
resistance. Yeah, because that's the journey, right? I think we all are journeying through our different uh, perceptions of reality, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And what they're calling us into this perception of reality where there isn't anything to fix. And then what I feel is once you just accept and not even just accept, that's a big thing. That's a huge step. The acceptance, it like releases that resistance. And under that acceptance is love. They're yeah, they're just like, okay, this is what I'm bringing and patiently waiting until it's accepted.
Yeah.
Um, they're not changing for anything. And I think that was, one of the things with Haddon is she came in so differently. Even my scientific brain, because there was a level of like, oh, then I should go, on to PhD level and like help cure her. But there was a part of me that just kind of knew that I was supposed to focus more on the love and being there with her. And it was so fulfilling just to be her mom, even in the early days when it was super hard. Um, there was a soul level like thing happening there that was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to try to fix her. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, good. I didn't need to go get my PhD. um, yeah, I think that's the other thing when I was saying that Haddon would say, you can't take worry, the stress those don't exist in this higher dimension. And in this higher dimension, I'm healed. What's happened, and I have a whole episode on this, was like what this understanding of healing. And it's even in the title of what you're doing, Divine Child Healing, Healers Academy. What is your understanding of healing, and how did that change for you as you went through your own? And then how do you apply that to your sessions with the kids and the families?
Yeah, thank you. I love that question. So I would say healing for me is remembering who you are and on different levels. So you're assisting energetically, in this case, the child, remembering and bringing their own energy into the physical body, bringing more of themselves into this reality. So it's never about fixing anything. There's nothing wrong with them, but there's nothing wrong with adults either. So I don't see healing as fixing adults either. It's just really helping people to remember. And we remember so much easier when our energy is here because that is who we are. And for the children in particular, I see what they need help with remembering is the energy they are within this physical dense body. So how can they bring that energy in and actually be in this body more than feeling what was there before they brought their energy into it. So if I can specify more with that, like if there's a strong ancestral energy within their body, they might leave out a whole aspect because that is making too much noise for them to actually feel that. And I think we all know we stepped into a room or been with a person who's greatly chaotic, and after half an hour with them, we also hardly know our own name. It's like if we are that sensitive, and the children feel the same way, those that are sensitive, or maybe even more. I've experienced children who could, it was so interesting. There was this one case where it was the father who was not a beautiful family, by the way, but he was like this happy-go-lucky guy, and but not really touching in on his core, like his, I am meant to be here. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to say what I think, what I feel. He was not touching that part of himself. He was like, he was not present within that body, if that makes part of the body, if that makes sense. And the child felt that energy somehow. So her energy field was almost like not in her body. It was like so spread out in the room, and she was just waiting. So it felt like a bit like, I would say, spaced out. Like
Hmm.
it was difficult to focus in on that. So I see we are holding an energetic template of becoming embodied for them, and they can use it in different ways, also depending on their own system. But some of it will work like that, like, oh, when there's no one else here who is embodied in a very physical sense with their higher energy, I actually cannot find my way. I cannot find my way into these parts of myself. And it's not to scare anyone. If you're listening to this, you're probably on your way and you will get there. And that is a part of the journey. There's never any judgment, but just to understand that our energy as adults, and especially as parents, because the children are so connected and mimic how we run our energy within our body, so they
Hmm.
can really feel limited in a way. So I don't know, that was answering a part of your question, but it's just to, yeah,
Yeah,
anything else?
what I got one time, it just dropped in, and it was, that healing is alignment to to the truth of ourselves. So, and it's the same thing you're saying. Um, that alignment is created as you remember. And what I get, even through maybe some of the more difficult, it's like they're calling us to align, and they're calling us to remember. It's almost like this, team effort. And as we all, because they're mimicking, like you said, energetically. Um, and I think our whole world is a is a mirror too. um, and that really changed things for me when I got that. I was like, oh, I thought healing was to, repair, to fix. And I think it's really beautiful. And another thing you were talking about as we went on our endless chat that we didn't record, was sort of this possibility when that I can't see either, but I know is there, that there's this, and it's part of why I love doing this work and why I love showing up every day and seeing where it goes, because I don't think we're supposed to know where all of this goes, but once you understand, and once we're all more in alignment, I feel like there's something there that becomes possible. And the way you were saying it, and maybe you can kind of go into it more, is well, maybe you can just say it because I kind of forgot. Yeah, go ahead. It's more like
Yeah.
it's beyond the healing,
Yeah,
is the
it's beyond.
possibility of like, what are they bringing? And you were like, I don't really know what it is, but it's just this, I don't know, kind of, and that's why I can't even put it into words right now. I think that's why.
Yes, we don't know what it is. Yeah, I love that. So we were talking about the thing about why do we heal children, and the energy I got and the answer, and one of them was also from the healing on Hatton, and that like the conversation with her through that energy is like, because it makes things easier, bring more of me into this experience, into the body. It's just a greater experience. It's more fun. And the thing that it makes it easier, it's not to become normal. And that is what I get general. It's not with the children, it's not for them to become normal. It's never for them to behave. It's always for them to reconnect. And you might giggle a little because that is sometimes what we want, right? Could they just stop this behavior? But it's like, no, that's not how healing
Gets
works.
kind of like vocal and really, is like telling us what she thinks. If like, let's say she gets sick and that kind of tones down, and we're like, I miss your like obnoxious, um, yeah. And I just, there's a level where in the higher understandings where you stop wanting them to be normal because you see all of the the beauty in the abnormal, in the
Yes.
not so normal.
Yes. And what I feel for a lot of the children, where you will say, maybe you will call them autistic, or in some other way they're responding very much to vibration. I felt that there's a higher potential coming in, as the more the energy, the frequency of the earth rises, the easier it is for them to bring their frequency here into the body. And for other children, I will also say, the more they bring their energy into the body, there are things that become possible, because it becomes possible in the higher dimension with a higher vibration. I know, even on a like a low level example, someone maybe argue this is a low level example, but in the experiment we're doing at this time in Earth history, if you're joyful, if you're happy, your body heals more easily. So
It
imagine just
closer.
leveling that up like many times. What becomes possible if we increase the vibration, lift the vibration with that, in that way. So that it was what we talked about. Like, I know there are things becoming possible, but I have no idea how it's going to look, because it's not going to be normal.
Right.
But it is a, an expression and something they are here to experience. We might be here to experience it too, and it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun to witness.
I kind of love that we don't know. I think in the unknown is, I've heard this from other spiritual teachers, like that's where the magic is. That's where you're supposed to go. That's where we're all being led. Because if you knew exactly what was going to happen from what you were doing or bringing, what's the fun in that, for one? But it also then relies on the brain or the mind to kind of construct a reality out of what it knows right now. And in the meantime, the soul knows everything. And it's like, no, just let it unfold. And that could be in anything in your life, but um wouldn't it be amazing if we just allowed everyone to bring all of their soul energy in and express it? And honestly, wouldn't it be amazing if we all could allow ourselves to do that? And for me, a piece of that for me is this podcast, because I was giving voice to all these kind of different feelings I was getting through the experience with Haddon that didn't line up with what society was saying we should be doing, or how, I was like, all this stuff that I was learning, and I was able to just get it, express it. And I was like, well, this feels right. And I had I have no idea where it's going, but I, I got the same thing where it was like, it was probably a good year ago, in the sort of beginning of this for me, year and a half, 2 years ago, very early on, I got that if we all go vibrationally to the place where they're calling us, then there's like no reason for them to be sick anymore. But like what's or for them to have, there's no reason for people to choose to come in, or souls to choose to come in with these disorders. It's like we've learned what it is. It's like we've learned what it is they're trying to show us through this. But in that, there's so much in that um in that moment, I couldn't understand what that looked like. And I think that's what you're saying too. It's like we're tapped into this higher energy, and we're sensing it all the time, and interpreting it all the time, and working with it and feeling it. And yet we kind of still don't know where it goes. But I think that's how it was designed.
Yes. And I love that, Erin, because it's also like the journey. And also, I see, if you could create your body in any way you wanted, how did you want it to look? And had no judgment. You might choose something that's different. You might not say, oh, then I want to look normal. I have no idea. I think we will have to see what happens. If and I feel the same as you, that there is no need to create like misalignment or anything, or bodies that looks different or come in with ailment or challenges in the higher vibration. But I wonder if we will still create like different types of expression of looks.
Yeah, and what comes to me is that, and I was saying this even before, there was a level where I started to understand it recently, like what if it's just your own perspective changes to the point where those different expressions are just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And you see them differently, and I've started to come into that with Haddon, where I just literally see a different kid in front of me. And I experience that with everyone I ever look at. It's like you're looking through new eyes, and I wonder if that's just where the magic is our experience of them changes to a point that, yeah, it's, and they're able to, it's like we're all able to live here in, as we intended, is kind of what comes to me.
Yeah. And also it's our perception, right? We're perceiving through our eyes, we're giving form to what the energy we're experiencing. So we are seeing a certain thing, but I'm still to discover how much is real, quote unquote, and how much is just my vision for shaping things in a certain way. We don't know.
Yeah, and what I just got again is like in the not knowing, you're allowing the divine to shape it as
Yeah,
opposed to the mind, right?
yeah.
It's like um the difference between, okay, I'm going to go get a PhD and I'm going to solve this problem and then it's going to get better because I have a solution that makes it look like XYZ. Like
Mhm.
it looks like this now and it's going to look like this when I cure it. And what they're showing us is that there's something beyond that, that maybe even better.
Yeah, and you will often see that they do have certain functions coming here, beyond just being beautiful babies, kids, and just being such a contribution. You can see that some like children with what we say, you might call label them Down syndrome. We don't have to use any labels, but just so people know what
I
beautiful
know. I
children.
hardly ever say what Haddon has to the point where it just
It's like, but
irritates me.
what beautiful children I'm talking about, but they come in and they are like love uh, broadcasters. It's like if you imagine a body, they will be the cell of the heart. They are just, there's just so much love there, and they're never getting cynical. So they're holding a space on earth for this innocence and this love, and just like some of what we label autistic children come in and hold the space for this higher wisdom coming in, and all are forming this powerful energetic frequency or energy field that holds space for something, or holds space for an energy for the rest of us to remember how to love, remember how to connect with our wisdom, remember how to connect with our body, whatever it is that this specific group are here for. Then it's a powerful mission that they're having, and if we can honor and respect that and see that, even that is, we're receiving the gift.
That is so beautiful. I think we can probably end on that. That is, um, I think that's the point of all of this. If they can, I think that is their sole desire, is to be seen. And I know Haddon can feel the people that see her for her, and she connects with them more readily. And I do think they're all holding their own special mission, just by being here. And yeah, I love that they didn't come here to be normal. And I think the more we love that, it's allows it to blossom into what it was intended at on the soul level, what that innate design brings through. Um, I can't bring the same thing through that Haddon brings through. I didn't design myself that way. But I'm certainly receiving the gift of it.
Yes.
I find it really amazing that you know, get to sort of interact with so many different
It's a
different
blessing.
super powered children with what I called, these divine abilities. Um, that's really amazing what you do. So thank you. And do you have any final words for any messages for anybody that might be listening um, that, is in that place of wanting to support where what I feel is a lot of people know that their kid is special in a very positive way. I think just like that. Um,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
Apple, yes. Uh, that's what I am getting in my interactions and just from sensing the energy right now is that most people with these kids, they've been in the spiritual boot camp, they've been in the love energy, they know their kid is powerful and holds these special abilities that they don't have, that they've not experienced yet, but they know they're there, and what they're wanting is just to support it. I think that's where most people are being called. So if you have anything else to say in terms of how someone might look at things that, or might take away that helps them on their mission of just supporting their amazing kid.
Yes, thank you. And I also want to say I feel so blessed too to be able to work with all these beautiful children. It's like it's always a magical adventure to connect with a new child. They have so much wisdom, yeah, and also, as you could hear, I'm greatly passionate about understanding the energetic system of each child of human beings, how we actually navigate in this world through with the energy and the emotions. So what I want to say is that coming into the heart, and we might have heard that so many times, but the reason why is because one of the reason why is because the mind is chattering so loud that we won't be able to hear what there really is for us up there, and we won't be able to get clarity there. We are often looping up here, and when we come into the heart, we can gain that sense of clarity, and we can gain the sense of connection. So up here, separation exists. There's me, there's you. Down here, oneness. And I know it can be challenging to get there because we get a lot of training, and there's also in the energy field that we should be up in our mind. And when we come into the earth plane, we should be up here. We should analyze, use our logical mind. That's better than intuition. That's often what we learn. And no judgment. It just makes life more difficult, is my experience. So just some guidance to
It
get into
works
that.
for it works for a certain amount of time and a certain amount of the journey. I think it serves very well, right? And then I think there's just more. There's
Yes.
just more that
Yeah.
we can experience.
Yeah, for me, it was really intense for the body to be in that. And I will also share why it is. And I see it's intense. And I definitely agree it serves to solve problems, and we can navigate, but often we will be guided back to the heart at a certain point. It's like, no, time's up for that. And the reason I share that this is what the guides always bring through when I'm sharing, that this is one of the most important things to understand about the children now. So I was also an early child of now, and you might feel the same, Erin, and people listening, the power of neutrality. That judgment is so intense for the system, the energy, because it brings it up here, right, wrong, good, bad, up, down, whatever, black, white, all those things. And it feels so intense in the body of the new earth children because it is not true to the energy system. You can miss, you can fail, you can get it, you're supposed to get it right, or you can get it wrong. And there is this either or all the time. Where most children thrives now is that divine timing, infinite potentials, oneness, that energy where there is not you separate one from the other and you either get it or you don't. So coming
Yeah.
back into that feeling, and that exists in the heart and in the wisdom of the body, when we get that to be the wisdom that we feel most, an incredible peace will be felt within us. And I know it's also known for many spiritual traditions that hold that state of neutrality and say it's so peaceful for the body. And they always guide me to share that it's so important for the children right now to get that energy. So that is where I would start as a parent.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's amazing advice. Thank you, Matilda. I so appreciate you taking the time and sharing what you've learned. And yeah, really beautiful what you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Erin. My pleasure.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed all of this. I know I did. I think it felt like about 5 minutes. So, and Matilda, maybe tell everyone where they can find you and your work.
Yes, on www.awakenwithmatilda.com. And I do have sessions I have what I call a child package, which is 2 sessions for the child and one for one of the parents or both parents at the same time. So that is one way you can support your child if you feel
Okay.
like that is too.
Awakenwithmatilda.com, and I'll put it in the description on whichever platform you're watching this, YouTube or any of the podcast platforms. It'll be in the description, so I'll just link it there. Thanks again. Appreciate you. And everyone, I hope you have an amazing day and listen to your kids and feel their energy. They are wise. Love you guys.